Have you ever been hit by a silence so deafening it echoes in your soul? Have you ever had someone you'd shared your deepest world with just vanish? And you're left standing there in the wreckage of what you thought was real, holding 1,000 unanswered questions with the biggest one screaming in your mind. W-A-T-I-D-I-S-K-R-I-G-H-T, no! You pore over every memory, every text, every look, trying to decode the mystery of their departure. And that quest for closure becomes a prison of your own making. You tie your worth, your value, your entire identity to their silence. But what if I told you that the key to your freedom isn't in knowing their thoughts, it's in reclaiming yours? What if I showed you that the very silence that's breaking you is about to become the foundation upon which you build an unshakable life? The moment they walk away, a switch flips. It's not a calculated, cold-hearted decision in that instant. It's a visceral, physiological reaction. For an avoidant, a relationship, especially one that has begun to foster real intimacy and expectation, creates a constant low-grade hum of anxiety. Their nervous system is in a near-permanent state of fight or flight, interpreting vulnerability and connection not as nourishment, but as a threat to their core survival. So when they finally execute the exit they've been ruminating on, the primary emotion isn't hatred or malice or even a lack of love for you. It is an overwhelming, euphoric wave of relief. It's the feeling of a pressure valve being released after being tightened for months. They can breathe again. The constant demands of emotional availability, the perceived expectations to perform as a partner, the fear of engulfment, it all vanishes. This surge is powerful and addictive. It feels like freedom. They will lean into this feeling, convincing themselves that this is proof positive that they made the right choice. They'll dive into work, into hobbies, into a social life that suddenly feels lighter because the weight of the relationship is gone. They might even seem happier, more alive to mutual friends, and this image is one of the most painful things for an ex-partner to witness. But you must understand this critical truth: this is not happiness. This is the emotional equivalent of taking a painkiller. It masks the symptom, the anxiety of intimacy, but it does nothing, absolutely nothing, to address the root cause of the disease. This relief is a chemical trick, a momentary escape from the prison of their own attachment wiring, and like any drug, its effects are temporary. It creates a powerful illusion that the problem was the relationship itself, the partner themselves, rather than their own inability to tolerate the beautiful, terrifying vulnerability that real love requires. This initial high is the set-up for everything that follows, because no emotional anesthetic lasts forever. The body metabolizes it, the mind clears, and then in the newfound silence they fought so hard to create, they are left with one thing, and one thing only: themselves. After the dust settles from the initial burst of freedom, a new sound begins to emerge in the void they've created, the echo. The silence they coveted starts to morph from a sanctuary into an auditorium where every memory, every laugh, every whispered conversation now plays on a loop. This is the inevitable cognitive backlash. The brain is not designed for emotional vacuums. It seeks connection and pattern. They deleted the relationship from their present, but they cannot delete it from their neural pathways. A song comes on the radio, and it's your song. They drive past a restaurant you loved, and the ghost of your presence is sitting in the booth by the window. They have a success at work, and their first instinct, the muscle memory of partnership, is to turn and tell you, but you're not there. This is where the avoidance carefully constructed narrative begins to crack. The relief fades, and in its place creeps a low, persistent loneliness. This isn't the general loneliness of being single. This is the specific, targeted loneliness of missing you. Not the idea of you, but the specific quirks, the unique way you supported them, the private jokes that existed in your universe alone. Their mind, which so expertly focused on your flaws to justify leaving, now begins to inconveniently highlight your virtues. They remember your kindness when they were sick, your belief in them when they doubted themselves, the safe harbor you provided in a world they often find overwhelming. This phase is characterized by intense internal conflict. They will fight these thoughts, bat them away as weakness, as a threat to their hard-won independence. They might intensify their distractions, seeking new flings or burying themselves deeper in projects, but the echo is persistent. It's a quiet, constant reminder that what they had was real, and what they have now is a hollow imitation of freedom. They are alone with their thoughts, and their thoughts are full of you. This is the critical crossroads where some may feel the first pull to reach out, not from a place of mature love, but from a place of seeking to quiet the echo, to use your presence once more as a balm for their internal disquiet, only to pull away again when the anxiety returns. It's a cycle, and the echo is its catalyst. To survive the cognitive dissonance of missing someone they chose to leave, the avoidant mind engages in a profound act of psychological revisionism. They rewrite your shared history. This is not always a conscious, malicious act. It is a defense mechanism of the highest order. Their current reality is that they are alone and chose to be alone. For that decision to make sense, the past must be viewed as unsatisfactory, problematic, and ultimately something that needed to be escaped. So they begin to edit the script. The beautiful, loving moments are minimized, framed as fleeting or inauthentic. The normal, human disagreements that exist in every relationship are amplified into fundamental incompatibilities and proof that you were never the right one. Your positive qualities are filtered out, and your flaws are magnified and put under a microscope. That time you were rightfully upset becomes drama. Your need for basic communication becomes neediness. Your love becomes smothering. They create a caricature of you and the relationship to serve a single purpose: to validate their choice to leave. This allows them to hold two conflicting thoughts at once. I miss them sometimes, and leaving was the only logical choice. The second thought must win, so the memory of you must be diminished. They will tell this revised story to their friends, their family, and most importantly, to themselves. It's a survival story where they are the hero who bravely escaped a trap. This is why you might hear from mutual friends that your ex speaks poorly of you or reduces the relationship to a negative experience. It's not necessarily that they are a bad person. It's that their psyche cannot tolerate the truth, that they walked away from something good and loving due to their own fears. Accepting that would be too devastating. So the past must be corrupted to protect their fragile ego. Understanding this is your key to liberation. Their memory of you is not you. It is a Frankenstein's monster of fear and self-justification. Your truth, the real love that was shared, remains intact and untarnished by their revisions. A person who has lost an arm or a leg will often still feel the vivid, sometimes painful sensation of the missing limb. This is a known neurological phenomenon called a phantom limb. The avoidant experiences a profound emotional version of this after a breakup. They feel the emptiness where you used to be, a space you occupied in their daily life, their routines, and their emotional world, but they lack the language or the courage to name it as grief or loss. They sense the void but refuse to look directly into it. This manifests as a strange, pervasive restlessness. They can't quite settle. They might find themselves picking up their phone to text you a funny meme out of pure habit, only to remember they can't. They have a bad day and feel the urge to call you, the person who was their primary source of comfort, and then feel a confusing mix of anger and sadness when they realize that comfort is gone by their own design. This phantom pain is the body and soul remembering what the mind is trying to forget. It's the subconscious acknowledging a deep, resonant bond that was severed. But because the avoidance entire framework is built around self-reliance and the avoidance of need, they cannot interpret this sensation accurately. They will misattribute it to boredom, to not being busy enough, to needing a change of scenery, or to the idea that the next partner will finally be the one who doesn't trigger this feeling, unaware that the feeling is internal. They are haunted by the ghost of your presence, by the routines built for two, and they will run, distract, and numb themselves to avoid confronting the simple truth. They are feeling the ache of your absence because you mattered. You were significant. Your presence was a limb their emotional body had grown accustomed to, and its removal, though self-inflicted, causes a shock to their entire system. They are walking around with a phantom limb, trying to convince themselves they were born whole and complete without it, all while feeling its ghostly itch every single day. As the rewritten history starts to show cracks and the phantom limb aches, the avoidance mind can become trapped in a paralyzing loop of what if. This is not the productive, lesson-learning reflection of a secure individual. This is an obsessive, circular rumination that masquerades as deep thought but leads absolutely nowhere. It's a torturous game of mental chess against themselves. What if I had stayed? Could it have worked? Is immediately countered with no, it was doomed, remember how they always, which then swings back to, but what if that was my fault? What if I'm the one who's broken? This internal ping-pong match is exhausting and designed to never reach a conclusion. Its true purpose is not to find answers, but to perpetuate the state of inaction. To actually answer the what if would require a level of self-confrontation and vulnerability that feels life-threatening to an avoidant. It would mean admitting fault, acknowledging fear, and potentially facing the horrifying prospect of having made a catastrophic mistake. So instead, they choose the paralysis of the question. They remain stuck in the hypothetical, analyzing every angle except the one that leads to accountability. This is why you may see them hovering, watching your social media stories, asking about you indirectly, maybe even sending a vague breadcrumb text. They are probing the perimeter of the life they left, trying to gather data to feed their what-if engine without ever having to actually step back inside and face the real emotional consequences. They are a spectator to a game they quit, wondering if the team is doing better without them, and simultaneously hoping they are and hoping they aren't. This paralysis protects them from the risk of being hurt again, but it also prevents them from ever truly moving on. They are forever tethered to the past relationship, not by love, but by the terrifying fear of the unknown future and the unexamined past. In a stunning reversal of the rewritten history phase, time and distance often perform a strange alchemy on the avoidance memory. The very flaws they magnified to justify their exit begin to fade, and your positive qualities are amplified to mythic proportions. You are no longer the complicated, real, human partner they couldn't handle. You are transformed into a perfect, idealized symbol of what they lost. This is the pedestal effect. Once you are safely out of reach and no longer posing an active threat to their independence, you become safe to love. In their mind, you become the old one that got away, the perfect partner they were somehow not enough for, projecting their own insecurities onto the past. This fantasy is far more comfortable for them than the messy reality of a real relationship. They can adore you without any demands being placed on them. They can yearn for you without having to show up for you. This idealized version of you becomes a benchmark against which all future potential partners are measured. And of course, everyone else will fail because they are comparing a real, flawed human to a perfect, pain-free ghost. This isn't about you, it's about their inability to tolerate real intimacy. A fantasy requires nothing from them. A real relationship requires everything. This pedestal effect is ultimately another form of disrespect because it denies your humanity. It ignores your flaws, your needs, your complexities, and turns you into a two-dimensional character in their story of loss. They aren't mourning you, they are mourning a fantasy they've created to avoid doing the one thing that would actually lead to happiness, doing the work on themselves. This is the foundational mantra, the core belief that every other thought and behavior serves to protect. I am better off alone. This is the ultimate self-protection lie. They will wear this statement like a suit of armor, convincing themselves and the world that solitude is a choice born of strength, not a prison built from fear. They will list the benefits: no drama, no compromises, no emotional demands, complete freedom. And on the surface, it looks convincing. But this lie has a fatal flaw. Humans are wired for connection. We are neurologically, biologically, and spiritually designed to bond with others. The state of being alone is not the problem, isolation is. The avoidant conflates the two. They believe that by avoiding the pain of potential rejection or engulfment, they are choosing peace. But what they are actually choosing is a life sentence of emotional starvation. The lie, I'm better off alone, is a defense against the terrifying truth. I am terrified that if I truly let someone in, they will see the parts of me I believe are unlovable and they will leave me, so I will leave first. Or, I am terrified that if I love someone, I will lose myself completely, so I will never fully love. This lie allows them to feel in control of a narrative that is actually controlled by their deepest wounds. It is a life lived in a bunker, safe from the bombs of heartbreak, but also completely cut off from the sunlight of genuine, nourishing, transformative love. They are not better off, they are simply safer, and there is a world of difference between safety and fulfillment. This is the quiet, lingering conclusion that often never finds a voice. It's the unacknowledged regret. It's the ghost that will haunt their future relationships, their quiet moments, and their what-if fantasies for years, perhaps even a lifetime. This regret is rarely a dramatic, earth-shattering epiphany where they fall to their knees and beg for forgiveness. It's subtler, more insidious. It's the slow, dawning realization that they have been the architect of their own loneliness, that the pattern keeps repeating, that the freedom they fought for feels emptier with each passing year, that no matter how many new people they meet, the connection never feels as deep or as real as the one they sabotaged. This regret is the understanding buried so deep it may never consciously surface that they had something genuine and traded it for a shield. It shows up as a chronic dissatisfaction, a numbness in new relationships, a constant comparison to a past they can't revise anymore. This regret is the price of never doing the work. It's the life sentence for choosing the comfort of the known prison over the terrifying uncertainty of true love and vulnerability. They may never say it out loud. They may never admit it to themselves. But it will be there in the hollow spaces of their life, a silent testament to the love they were too afraid to hold on to. The journey of an avoidant after a breakup is not a straight line from loss to moving on. It is a chaotic, internal cyclone of conflicting emotions, relief, loneliness, revisionism, phantom pain, obsession, idealization, and the deeply buried seeds of regret. It is a path walked alone, dictated by fear and a misguided sense of self-protection. They are not the villain of your story, nor are they a heartless monster. They are a wounded individual acting out a survival playbook written by their past, a playbook that instructs them to flee from the very thing that could heal them, genuine connected love. But here is the most important takeaway. The truth you must brand onto your heart. Their internal process is not a reflection of your worth. Their silence is not a measure of your value. Their rewritten history cannot erase the beauty of what you actually shared. Their inability to handle the depth of your love is a statement about their capacity, not your lovability. You must stop looking for your value in the mirror of someone who is blind. Your power, your freedom, and your future lie in radically accepting a painful truth. You may never get the closure you want from them. Closure from an avoidant is a myth. It is a fairy tale. The kind of closure you seek, a clear, honest, accountable accounting of what happened, requires a level of emotional maturity and self-awareness that their fears actively prevent them from accessing. Waiting for that closure is like waiting for a ship that was never built to sail. You are standing on the dock of your life, watching the horizon for a sign that will never come. Therefore, you must become your own source of closure. You must grant yourself the validation, the acknowledgement, and the love you have been seeking from them. You must look at the relationship, see the beautiful parts and the painful parts, and decide what it meant to you. You must own your story, not the story they are telling to make themselves feel better. Your closure is an inside job. It is the decision to stop trying to read the last page of their book and to instead pick up your own pen and start writing a breathtaking new chapter. So let them have their silence. Let them have their revised history. Let them have their phantom limb and their unacknowledged regret. Your task is not to live rent-free in their mind. Your task is to evict them from yours. Forgive them for being human. Forgive yourself for loving them, and step forward into the brilliant, expansive, and love-filled future that awaits you on the other side of this pain. Your greatest love story is not behind you with them. It is ahead of you with the person you are becoming because of this. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to lean into this pain to find your power. Thank you for choosing to understand, not to blame, and for turning your focus back to the most important person in your life, you. Now go out there and build a life so vibrant, so full of love and purpose, that the echo of their silence becomes nothing but a faint whisper in a symphony of your own joy. Go and be great. I believe in you. Goodbye.